How's it going, you guys? So this is Marshall here. This is going to be my top 4 tips for finding a great deal on a used car, more geared towards sports cars, performance cars, cars that might eventually go up in value in the future. And this is just a side note because this video was originally supposed to be an outro for a vlog I made where a buddy and I go find a good deal on an E36 M3 and drive it down 6 hours. So that's what you're going to hear me referencing in the video. It just ended up being too long and I wanted this to be more informative. So here it is, my top 4 tips for finding the best used car deal for you. So the first tip that I'm going to say when you're looking for a good deal on a car, like you guys saw in the video, is you can't be scared to travel. More times than not, the car that is going to be a good deal in the color you want or the spec you want is not going to be 10 minutes away or 15, 20, 30 minutes or even an hour drive away, right? More times than not, this car is going to be a road trip away, a 5-hour drive up north, 3 hours east, etc., etc. Or you might even have to fly out to see the car because it might be so far away. But that's just because in my situation or Philip's situation, we live in LA/Orange County, and these are just sort of hotbeds for people looking for these desirable older sports cars, people with the same interests as us, and they're densely populated areas where there's a large car fan base, a large car market. So it's going to be a lot harder for us to find, a really good deal on a car like that here, just because the demand is so high, right? And that demand drives up the price. And especially if that car is going to be sold close to us, it's going to be at a higher price because people here understand that demand, and it's a lot easier to sell a car like a Avus Blue E36 M3 here for a premium price than if you live in the middle of nowhere 4 hours away, where you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody willing to pay a premium for a 25, 20 plus year old old sports car. They're not going to want to pay $10,000 over some other car when you can buy like a 2007 335 for the same price as this 95 BMW M3, right? So you're going to have to be willing to travel to find the good deals that you want on the car that you want to buy. And the same sort of thing works in reverse. Like if you live in a small city, you're probably going to have to look elsewhere just because of the opposite of why we have to travel outside of LA or Orange County area, just because in that small city you're probably not going to be able to find somebody who happens to have the car that you're looking for selling it at the exact same time that you are in the market to buy it. So don't be afraid of wanting to be able to travel if you want to find a good deal on a used car. So the second thing I want to talk about is actually calling and talking to the seller on the phone. I'm sure this is a bigger issue for people from my generation and people who are my age and younger, and not as big of a deal for people in their mid-30s and older who are more accustomed to phone calls and not texting. But it's fine to text the owner, ask them some general questions, but after that initial back and forth, just give them a call. For one, it really lets the seller know that you're super interested in the car. You can put yourself in a better position, show them that you're more of a ready-to-buy buyer right now. And the other thing that it does is it gives you a really good perception of what kind of condition the vehicle is in, right? Talking to the owner on the phone, by listening to him, it'll give you a good sense of what kind of owner they were, what their personality is like. It'll answer a lot of the questions that you had initially when you looked at the listing, and it'll just give you a really good sense of what kind of condition the vehicle is in just by speaking to the owner, right? They could have a very poorly listed listing, but that could just be because they're older, they don't know how to sell a car, they're not really that savvy with marketing or posting photos, that kind of stuff, right? So just give them a call and it'll give you a really good idea of the condition of the car. Alright, so the third thing I want to talk about is sort of to build on the first two, is there's no point in even looking for a car or calling people or wasting people's time if you don't have cash ready. So the third thing is have cash ready. Not only is it a waste of time, waste of the seller's time to negotiate and be like, oh, I'll have cash in a week, or I can have the cash in 2 weeks. But having the cash ready puts you in a better buying position to work out a good deal, or to have money for a car that is listed at a good deal. Because it's such a prevalent thing with flaking buyers, or tire kickers, as people like to say for sellers, just having cash on hand puts you in a better negotiating position from the beginning to buy a car. And it lets the buyer know that you are a serious buyer and you're not just here to throw him offers, but even if your offer is a bit lower than what they're asking for, that is backed up with a cash in hand offer, which will definitely help you guys work to negotiate for a better deal in getting a used car. And on top of that, sometimes too, when a car is already such a good deal, and it's posted for such a steal, know when to not be really cheap and lowball the guy, when the car you already know is a great price and it's for a car that you specifically have been looking for a while, right? That's also when it's important to have cash on hand, because then you can just be like, look, I'll buy this car for your asking price, which is pretty much what happened with this blue car. There was another guy who was been asking the guy to buy it off of him for months now, and he just never had the cash, and it was less than what Philip was giving him. So Philip just said, look, I can come and get this car on the weekend if you hold it for me, don't sell it to anyone else. I'll give you this much, I'll give you more than the other guy, I have cash, and I'm not playing around. And that's sort of how we got this car, right? So have cash on hand, and it's a powerful negotiating tool. And on top of that, there's no point in wasting sellers' times if you don't even have the cash, right? Alright, you guys, so fourth and final tip here in the video, and it's going to be probably the most important of them all, and that's going to be know what you are looking at. And what I mean by that is, most of the time, the car that is going to be the good deal, it's not going to be this well-listed, well-documented car with 20 to 30 high-res photos and an entire description of, everything the owner's done to the car. It's not going to have all the flaws. He's not going to document all the maintenance that he's done. None of that stuff's going to be on the listing of a car that is going to be a good deal. Most of the time, it's going to be, 1 to 4 shitty cell phone photos that the owner just threw on Craigslist really quickly, with maybe a paragraph, maybe the title of the car, maybe the title status, maybe if it's auto or manual, maybe any mods that's been done to the car. But most of the time, it's going to be the most basic listing possible. And if you really, really don't know what you're looking at, if you're not well versed in the car, if you don't have friends like Philip did, he had me, he had this other friend who's worked on and sold multiple E36 M3s. If you don't really know what you're looking at, then it's hard to really assess, whether or not a car is a good deal, or if it's just a car that is cheap because it's supposed to be cheap, right? And it's really, really important to, do your research. Google is your friend. Really understand the specific model that you're looking at. Understand the difference between a 95 M3 in this case, or a 97 or a 98, the specific problems that can go wrong with the car, and how much that stuff costs if it's not done. So you have a good concept of, what kind of money you're going to be putting into a car like this if it's not sort of up to that standard already. And that gives you a really good assessment of, and that knowledge gives you a good understanding of whether or not a car is $5,000 cheaper because it's $5,000 cheaper, and it should be $5,000 more if it's just $5,000 cheaper because it's supposed to be $5,000 cheaper, right? Because at the end of the day, these cars, they're big purchases for most of us, right? It's something we work really hard for, we save up for, and in a lot of cases, it's something that we overspend for, and we spend a little bit more than we should be to be financially responsible, but it is what it is, and it's what we love, and it's our passion. So it's important to know what you're looking at, because as a car person, you really want to have that enjoyable car experience, and buying a car that you're going to have to work on for the next year or 6 months, or be really kind of sad about because you kind of got burned on a deal, or the car wasn't exactly what you're looking for because you want to save some money in the beginning. that will really hinder the sort of the car experience for us, and it won't give us that full pleasurable car ownership experience that we are really looking for, So the second part of what I mean by know what you're looking at is, if sort of what I said you aren't really comfortable with, if you're not really familiar with the car, then maybe the best deal for you isn't necessarily, the best deal that's on the market, right? Maybe the best deal for you is the one that is well listed, well documented, that you're gonna, not run into any problems when you get it. You can drive it, you can enjoy it, but you're gonna have to pay a little bit more for that in the beginning. But maybe in the long run, that car actually is the best deal for you, right? Because maybe you're buying that car instead of, getting suckered into buying a car that you think is a good deal, but actually it's just going to take you, 6 more months of you working on it, your time, and at the end of the day it's going to end up costing the same amount of money as that car that you could have just bought from the beginning that you thought was a little bit overpriced because, of the premium that you have to pay for a well sorted out, well documented car from the get. But in some cases, depending on your personality or how comfortable you are with a certain make and model, paying a little bit more in the beginning could be sort of the best deal for you, right? So you're gonna want to really, really know what you are looking at, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a big purchase for a lot of us. I bought multiple of these sort of what I like to refer to as future classics cars, under $30,000, these sports cars. And sometimes you do get burned on the car, and it's not enjoyable, it's not fun, and it's a big waste of money, I'll tell you that, right? So really know what you're looking at. Google's your friend. Really research the ins and outs of a car. Understand what's the difference between certain colors, certain specs on the car, no nav, slick top, etc., etc. What people are looking for and what makes a certain car a good deal or what makes a certain car just cheap, right? And there's a lot of things and there's a lot of money involved, so there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of as somebody looking for a good deal on a car. So, if you guys made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Going to be trying to make more videos later. Not exactly sure still of how well these flow or the type of style I want to film them in. But, I'll learn from experience, and as I go on, I'll get more sort of in the rhythm and sort of really get a good idea of what kind of videos I want to be making, right? And the style of those videos. Yeah, so try to document more of this M3 as Philip gets it cleaner, keep you guys updated on that, and sort of just all the sort of stuff I'm doing around my own cars, the NSX, need to get that review up, etc., etc. So yeah, thanks for watching, you guys, and until next time, peace out.